Okay. Now everything is okay. Once again, let me confirm that am I audible to every one of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's we start our session now with the quick recap of the thing we discussed in the last session. In the last session, what we have discussed? We have discussed about first IO addressing formats, that how we are going to specify the address of particular input pin and output pin into the PLC programs, because whenever you are going to make the programming of the PLC, you require to take the information from the input side, that is through the sensors. So where that sensors are going to be connected with your CPU, that is through the input module, you need to give some specific address to the particular pin, that at the pin number 1 so and so transducer, or you can say sensors has been connected, or you may say like some toggle switch or push button switch has been connected. So what is the condition of that input devices which you are going to connect with your PLC through the input modules? So in your CPU memory organization, we are having some specific, you can say bit location, or you can say memory location assigned to each and every input device connected through the input module with the CPU of the PLC. So that is how we can do what the format of that IO addressing we have to give into the program. So that thing we have discussed in that last session first. After that, we have discussed about what are the various types of programming languages we can have in our PLC program development. So according to the IEC standard, we have understood that there are 5 languages like ladder diagram, then you can say sequential function chart, that is what we call SFC, then function block diagram, then structure text, and one more, that is what you can say instruction list. So these are the 5 languages which we can use to program any PLC, and that is standardized according to the IEC standard that we have seen in that last session. We have seen that out of these 5 languages, 3 languages, that is what you can say ladder diagram, SFC, that is the sequential function chart, and one more, that is the function block diagram. These 3 are, you can say, graphical languages in which your program is going to be developed in a graphical manner, and the other 2, that is structure text and instruction list. These are the 2 languages which is going to allow you to make the program in terms of, you can say, textual language. There you have to write down the instructions in the sequence as per the format specified in that particular languages. So that thing we have discussed in that last session. Now, let us start our session today. Session number 6 from this unit 3, programmable logic controllers. In our today's session, what we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss about the basic instructions, basic instructions of the ladder diagram that we have already discussed in that last session also. That is, you can say examine if open, examine if closed, and output energize. These are some basic instructions, or you may say like digital instructions, or you may call it is a relay type instructions that we have already discussed in that last session. At the end of that session, we are discussing it. From that onwards, what are other specific type of instructions that you can use in your ladder diagram programming? Because we are specifically right now going to discuss about that ladder diagram programming. So in that, which type of special instructions that you can have, like timer instructions that we'll be discussing today, then counter instructions that also we'll be discussing today here. And at last, we'll be starting discussing about the various types of arithmetic instructions. Although these all types of timer, counter, and arithmetic instructions we have already discussed in our laboratory sessions, we'll be taking here quick recap of that things, right? So it will be getting more familiarized to you all. So let us begin our session with the discussion of timer instruction. So before I discuss anything, let me know from your side that what are the things you remember from our laboratory discussion. Can you tell me that how this timer instruction is going to be utilized in our ladder diagram program? Anyone of you can tell me about that? Yes, anyone of you also can tell me here. How the timer instruction, particularly here, you can, let me just tell you, we can have three types of timers, right? On delay timer, off delay timer, and retentive on delay timer. That is RTO. T on, T off, and RTO. So can you just tell me that what the use of all these timers and how they are functioning in your program? Anyone of you can tell me that?
Yes, sir. In case of T on timer and T off timer, there will be three outputs, which is EN, DN, and TT, which represents the state of timer. If it is enabled by a signal, then EN will be on. If timer counting is running, then TT will be on, and
Yes.
timer counting is done, then DN will be on.
Yes, exactly true. See what Milan is saying that, and Akash also saying something about that timer on instruction here. See, particularly in on delay timer, one thing what Milan has to add, that is what Akash is saying here, that in on delay timer, after you give the enable input, it will be taking the time what you are specifying in your preset time of the timer, right? That is, for example, you are saying that your preset time you have set in your timer, let's say of 10 seconds. So after you give the enable input, here in the timer, your enable input is going to be given at the input of the timer, right? Let me just highlight that part here. Right, here is what your enable input is going to be given. Right, this is the point where you have to connect it at this point. Right, this is what your enable input point, where you give the enable input E. Once you give the enable input to this timer on the input side of the timer, after that it will take the time what you are giving in the preset mode, right? Means whatever timer's timing you are setting. Preset value means it is the time for which you want to set your timer. So preset value will be the timer timing value, and for that duration, your output done bit will be not in on condition. Means how much time your done bit of the timer will take to be on, that will depend on your preset value, right? That means after enable input has been given to your timer block, particularly right now I'm talking about on delay timer, then after counting the timer preset value, then after your done bit will be on. And as Milan is saying that enable input, enable bit, that is EN, done bit, that is DN, and timer timing bit, that is TT. These are the three bits that you can utilize in your program by using this timer, so that you can have the various tasks to be performed in your logic. Sometimes some logic need to be performed during the timer timing task. Sometimes some tasks need to be performed when timer is enabled. And sometimes it may be required that something you want to perform after your timing task can be completed, right? So whichever done bit or enable bit or TT bit you require in your logic, that you can utilize as per your requirement, right? And one more thing, that is what accumulator value here. In the timer, various fields are there, you can see that. One thing that here you can see T4 then 0, or you can say T4 then colon then 0. That is what it is, the timer declaration, or you can say it's a timer particular number. You can have to give the number of the timer from the timer file. Right, in your memory organization, there is one data file is there for timers, and in that data file, which timer location you want to utilize. So that particular here you have to give as an address, like T4 colon 1 or T4 colon 0 or T4 colon 5, 3, whatever it is, right? So that you have to give here. Here T4 stands for 4 is that for, you can say, fourth number timer file, fourth number data file. Right, in the data file or memory organization, in the previous lessons, we have discussed about that thing, that there are various data files are there. Among that one, this is there also, timer file, then counter files. These are the data files already there in the memory organization. where it is going to be utilized that location for storing the value like timer timing value or accumulator value, or you may say that the done bit condition or enable bit condition. So for that, the location is going to be utilized by your timer on delay. So here, first one is that the naming, or you can say the declaration of that timer particular address, or you may say that this location. Then the timer base. Timer base is what? In what you can say in what incremental step you want to count your time. Suppose I want to count like 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds in the step of 1 second. Then you have to set your timer base to be 1. And if you want to make counting of your timer base, let's say in a smaller step, let's say in millisecond, for example, then you have to set your timer base to be 0.001. So that whatever time preset value you have set into that timer, it will be incremented in the millisecond steps. So that much preciseness you will be getting. That's what I want to tell you here, right? Likewise, last one is the accumulator value. Accumulator value is doing what? It is going to store the timer timing value. Whatever preset value you have set, just a minute. Okay, so this is what about the timer on delay task, right? So that can be used in your program. Now the next timer is the off delay timer, that is T off. It is having similar kind of field, that is the timer naming, then timer base, then preset value, then accumulator. Same type of bit, that is the enable bit, done bit, and TT bit. They are all going to perform in a similar manner like what you have in a timer on delay. But here, only the difference in functioning between these two blocks is that what? In timer on delay, whatever preset time you are adding, that much delay will be taken to give you output. That is the done bit will be enabled after that time. Whereas in case of timer off delay, it will be taking that much delay after you remove the enable input to make your done bit to be off. Right? Means here output will be off, taking whatever preset time delay you are adding into the block. That is what exact difference between these two blocks. Otherwise, they will be going to perform similar. Are you getting this? What I'm saying, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And one more block that what you have is the retentive on delay timer. The specific difference between the normal on delay timer and retentive on delay timer is what? That in this retentive on delay timer, your accumulated value means whatever timer timing task has been completed. Let's say I have enabled my timer after setting the preset time to be, let's say 10 seconds. But I have given the enable input for only 5 seconds. So my accumulated value will be reached to 5 seconds, and then after I'm removing the enable input. So your accumulated value, which was already having counted for 5 seconds, will be retained, even if it is wrong condition is going to be false. That means your enable input is removed. It is not like that once you remove the enable input, whatever accumulated value has been counted time, that will be made to be reset at 0. No, it's not going to be there in the retentive on delay timer. So your retentive on delay timer going to retain whatever timing task has been completed when the previous enable input has been given. Am I making this thing clear, everyone? So what
Yes,
it indicates? It indicates that, let's say your timer timing task has been completed. Right now you can see in this block. In this block, your preset time has been 15 seconds, right? So let's say I have given the enable input and I keep that enable input for the, let's say 16 seconds. It means it is more than 15 seconds. So my timer done bit will be on. Now, once my timer done bit is on, I'm removing the enable input from the input side. So in this case of RTO, that is the retentive on delay timer, your done bit will remain on even after you remove the enable input. Once your timer has completed the timing task, then after whatever output bit condition is there, that will be retained, or you can say maintained as it is, even after you remove the enable input. So that is what the difference between the normal on delay timer and a retentive on delay timer. That part clear, everyone? Okay. Hello. It's getting delayed to give me
Yes,
answer
sir.
here.
Yes,
I
sir.
hope, I hope that only Milan is not online.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so based on this timer instruction, let me give you a small problem to develop the ladder logic. So I request every one of you to take paper and pen. Right now, you are not required to open your virtual lab or anything. I just want to see the logic implementation on your paper, right? So how you are going to draw that ladder diagram in your page. So let me give you a small problem definition based on timer instruction. Look at here. Everyone, please look at this problem I'm giving on screen. Read this instruction clearly and develop a small ladder logic in your paper and by using your pen, right? I will be asking you to show me with your camera. So everyone, please just draw on your page the small ladder logic for this problem by using a timer. I just reading out the problem definition here. Develop a ladder logic to start the conveyor belt motor in which the operator must press and hold the start push button for 10 seconds, during which time the siren also should give sounds so that it will be a warning for the people to clear or get away from the conveyor belt that is going to just about to start. Am I making this thing problem definition clear to everyone? What that thing given to you? What you have to do is you have to develop the program for a small conveyor belt motor start operation, in which it is required that once your operator press the start button and it has to be pushed for the 10 seconds. It is not like that just push and remove the hand. It has to be pushed for 10 seconds. And during that 10-second time, there has to be a sound of siren so that everyone can know. And it can be alarming sound for the people working around. So they can move away from the conveyor belt so that no any kind of accident can happen, right? So that is what the aim of this problem. So can you just start developing the ladder logic for this problem, everyone? I'm here to give you any answer if you have any kind of doubt with this problem. Everyone will be developing the program on their page by using the pen. I will ask any one of you to just start your camera and keep your page on your camera so I can see that what the logic you have developed. Yes, any one of you have done it? Have you developed that program? What I'm asking for you? Hello?
Yes, sir, doing it.
Okay. Those who can,
sir.
it should not be taking much time. I'll be just giving you 2-3 more minutes. Then after I'll ask you to show it. It is a very simple logic. It can be developed within 2-3 runs, right? Not more than that. Okay. I think now it is a time up. Yes, anyone has done it? Let's see how much you have done, right? Whatever it is. If it is not yet completed, it's okay. Who is going to show me that? Yes, any volunteer from your side, or should I directly ask with the name? Okay, Bhavesh is sharing his screen. Let me just see that. Something naming is there. What you are writing? Start, stop, then coil.
Coil C conveyor belt.
But where is that C conveyor belt? It is going to start as soon as you press the start button, isn't it? You look at your logic, Bhavesh. Once you press the start button, right, it is going to start your conveyor belt directly. It's not going to wait for second you are mentioning your timer. Can you see that?
Okay, sir.
Look at the first run. As soon as you press the start button, directly power will be given to your conveyor belt. So it's not going to add any kind of delay there in that. Even there is no siren output also. Just think on that, Bhavesh.
Okay, sir.
Right? Yeah. Anyone else?
Sir, can I try?
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Sir, I don't know is it right or wrong, sir.
Don't worry. See, I'm always telling you that you should not worry about whether your answer is right or wrong. You are trying, that's enough for me.
Sir, can you able me to share my screen?
Okay, if you want to share your screen, let me do that. Now you can do it. It's not getting shared. Yes, are you doing sharing of screen or not?
Yes, sir. 1 minute. Sir.
Yeah, do it. Okay, start, stop, then start again. Why start buttons are 2 times in your logic here? Ashok?
Sir, because that we can start when we want.
See, here the logic is requiring the timer. You have not taken timer at all,
Okay, sir.
right? How you can maintain that time delay without timer into your logic? Right? That is the first and most important mistake you have done. Remaining thing also required to be found out here. So very first thing is that you should add some timer block into your logic.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, let me just show that thing on my screen now. You just stop your screen. Okay. So everyone, please take a look at here. How you can do that. First of all, see how to draw the ladder diagram that you have to learn. Whenever you are preparing the ladder diagram, you should draw this type of 2 lines. You may mention like L1, L2 or positive, negative, whatever you want to give. Right? This is the very first thing you have to do. And now you should not forget the symbol of the examine if close, examine if open, output energize. Right? That context, you have to take the proper symbol. For example, if I want to represent a start button, then I can just draw the start NO contact like this. Okay. And if you want to make the stop button connection there, I can use to represent that stop button as a NC contact like this. Okay. And what I have to do here is, you can say, let's say this is the start button. I'm using the start button here. Okay. And here I'm just mentioning the stop button as a ST. Okay. Now that you have to give to your timer. And that timer will have here, you may say enable input or enable bit. Then you may have the done bit. This kind of symbol you can apply. Right? And here, this is what your timer block is. In the timer, you can mention various fields like timer name, timer base, preset value. I'm just going to right now specify the preset value, right? By indicating the P. P stands for preset value, and that's I'm putting here 10 seconds, right? So I'm just making the preset value here, preset of 10 seconds. Another thing that you can have accumulated value. You may have ACC, accumulated value. When it is not enabled, it will be 0. But once you enable the timer block, it will be increasing from 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, your accumulator will be achieving, your done bit will be on, right? So what I can do in the next rung? In this rung, I can put one contact of the start button again here. right? This will be the same start button. That is what you is in the first rung. And that I'm going to apply to one output coil that you may give the name to, let's say, a siren, or you may say alarm, whatever you say. So it is going to be on as soon as you are going to push the start button. So that first condition is getting satisfied, that you, when press the start button, siren is going to be on. How much time you want to make your siren to alarming sound giving to you? 10 seconds. And here, how much time you have to push the start button? That also for 10 seconds, right? So you can use this contact to make the siren sound there. Then after here, in the next rung, what you can do is, just a minute. I can use the timer done bit. Let me say here I'm taking timer T1. So I'm using T1.dn. That will be my timer done bit, right? So that timer done bit will be on after 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, I can use that contact and I can give here the motor coil, or you may say conveyor motor coil. That is going to start your motor, right? But at the same time, I have to apply that done bit here in parallel with your start button in the first rung, right? There also you have to use the timer T1.done, so that after that timer done will happen, your start push button will be latched. So even after that, you remove the hand from that start button, your timer will be enabled until you press the stop button. And so that your done bit will remain on. And that's why your motor will remain start in on condition. So this is how you can develop the logic for this problem. Is that clear, everyone? Or any query in this logic, what I have shown to you here?
No, sir.
So everyone, please use the symbols like this and represent your logic like proper symbol and timer, right? Right now, the timer block, what I just shown to you, it is not also showing all the fields into that. But when you are going to draw, you should also mention all the fields, like timer naming, then timer base value, timer preset value, and everything, right? So that looks a proper diagram. Anyway, that's thing for you. Let's move to the next instruction, that is the counter instruction. In the ladder logic, you also have to be used about the various types of counter instruction for making the counting task on some objects or some process cycles, anything. So there are two types of basically the counters we have, that is the counter up and counter down, right? Up counter will count the numbers in increasing order, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And the down counter will be going to count in decreasing order. Like if you have started from the 10, it will going to make 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, like that. So there are two types of counting process you can have in your logic by using either up counter or down counter. In the counter, you can see the various fields here. Very first thing is that you can have the counter naming, that is the particular counter file address you have to specify there. Then after the preset value, that how much count you want to perform by using this counter. And last one is the accumulator value. Accumulator value means it is going to count that how many times your input has been going from low to high, like this, right? Every time there is a change in the input pulse given to this counter, it is going to count that. Now this pulse can be coming from any of the device. It may be coming from your push button, it may be coming from your sensors, proximity sensors, anything. But that is ultimately going to give you a signal in terms of pulses. And that pulse is going to be counted by your counter and giving you the count into the accumulator location. Whenever that accumulator location is getting value more than preset value, at that time your done bit is going to be on. That means your counter has completed that much count what you have given into the preset. સમજાય છે જેટલા પ્રીસેટમાં તમે કાઉન્ટ સેટ કર્યા છે એટલા કાઉન્ટ થઈ જાય એટલે કે એક્યુમ્યુલેટરની વેલ્યુ પ્રીસેટ વેલ્યુ કરતા વધી જાય અથવા તો એના જેટલી થઈ જાય ત્યારે તમારા ડન બીટની જે પોઝિશન છે that will be changed, it will be on, so that you can come to know in your logic that now you can perform next task whatever you want to perform after that count has been completed. Am I making this thing clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Similar to this up counter, you can have the down counter. In down counter, you will be having the counting task reverse to that what you have seen in the up counter. Here also your done bit is going to be on whenever your accumulator value is going to be more than preset value. But here the operation is little bit different. Here you will be going to start your accumulator value with little higher value, more than your preset value. For example, right now I have given preset value to be 5. And I'm entering the, let's say, accumulator value to be 50, for example. Okay. So what this will be going to do, it will be giving you done bit in on condition, because your accumulator value is more than preset value. But now, whenever there is an input pulses given to this counter, so that pulses are going to be counted and your accumulator will be going to reduce from 50, then 49, then 48, 47, 46, like that. It is going to reduce and going to reach to 5, and then after going to reach to 4. So till your accumulator value going to reach to 5, your done bit will be in on condition. And as soon as your accumulator will be going to reduce less than 5, your done bit will be in off condition. So that means it will be allowing you to make the count from 50 to 5. So in downward direction, in decreasing order, you will be able to have the count from 50 to 5. So that's how you are able to use this down counter into your program. So according to that, you have to start with your accumulator value. Am I making this thing clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
Yes, sir.
in up counter as well as down counter, once the count will be performed and it is going to be going to either equal to or greater than your preset value, then after you require to get it resetted. Sometime once you want to have that cycle get completed and you want to make that cycle use again. So you have to reset that counter first in original condition. So resetting that timer, you can have the one coil, one output energized coil that is given the name reset, RES. Right, in the ladder rung, you can use the contact like this. Some contact you can put here. Let's say I'm giving some switch S there. And that switch will be going to energize some output coil. This output coil will be having naming there RES. That is called the reset coil. And this reset coil has to be addressed. Vatsal, am I audible to you? You have to make sure that your mic is in mute condition when you are not speaking to me. So this reset coil has to be given the same naming what your counter is having here. Let's say C50, you can give the same address to this RES coil so that whenever this coil has been energized, it is going to reset your counter. Same thing that in up counter also. Is that fine, everyone?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, one more counter you can have, that is up-down counter. That is in some software, like for some PLC, for example, Bose PLC, you can have a separate block for the up and down counter. That a single block is giving the up input as well as down input, both can be connected. And it is going to make the accumulator value to be up and down based on the which input is coming to that particular counter. Right? For example, in the laboratory experiment number 8, we require to perform the logic development for the parking area. Right? In that, car may be coming in and car going out also. So when car coming in, you have to make up counting. When car going from the parking area, means exiting from the parking area, you have to make the down count. So in that kind of application, you may need to use the up and down counter both for a single count value. So there you can use this up and down counter. So it is different in different company softwares. Some softwares are providing that block separately, or like Allen Bradley PLC, what we are using in our laboratory, they are allowing you to use your up counter and down counter with the same address, so that you can make the use of that both block combined to make the up and down counter, right? So that's what you can do, and you can perform your required tasks if you have to make some up and down count for the single value and a single sensor output. Okay, so that's the thing for the counter instruction. I hope that it is clear to everyone of you.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now
Yes,
take
sir.
one, develop one more logic by using the counter instruction. It is again a very small logic. It also going to be done in the 2-3 rung only, right? So everyone please make use of counter here into this logic for developing this logic. The problem definition is like this, that the develop a ladder logic to count 10 number of bottles added into a box, and then conveyor belt should start. It means your conveyor belt motor should start for 5 seconds to move that box away and bring a new box to the particular location. Right? It is just not a whole process. It is a very small part of the process that you are developing the logic. You have only 3 to 4 minutes before we end the session. So please just make use of this time for developing your logic. Yes, anyone have developed this logic? You should start like this. The two lines L1, L2, that is the power line, ground line of the rungs. Between this, you are going to do that. Very first rung you can use to develop for your start stop condition. That is going to be common, right? Your one start and that is stop. That I can use to give one coil here. Let us say some B1. In that contact I can use here. Okay. Now whenever your B1 is on, you can add one more sensor input here. Right? Let me say I'm giving here P1. P1 is the proximity sensor. And that proximity sensor will be giving the input to your counter. So here is your counter. Okay, in the counter, I'm saying let's say it is CTU. It is a up counter. And I'm setting the preset value to be, let's say, 10, because here we want to make the count of 10. Right? Your accumulator value will be starting from 0. Now, whenever this counter done bit going to be enabled, first of all, what you have to do is you have to keep your motor in stop condition. After this count get completed, you will be able to utilize this done bit. I'm just putting here DN, right? I'm not getting a name of that CTO. It is a done bit of that counter I'm using here. And that is going to start your conveyor belt. But how much time your conveyor belt should start? 5 seconds. That means I have to utilize that done bit again to start a timer. Right? So here I'll be using one more block of timer. This timer, let me give here timer name T1. And it is preset value I'm setting for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, when the done bit of this timer will be on, I'm going to take its NC contact over here. Right? I'm writing here T.dn. That is a timer done bit. So whenever timer will be completing its task, its NC contact will be open and your conveyor motor coil will be made off, or its supply will be cut. So this is how you can have the logic for this given task. Can you understand this, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's all for today. Arithmetic instruction will be starting in our next session. And then after, remaining topic of this chapter will be discussed. So everyone, if you don't have any query here to ask me, you can give your number for attendance and then we can close the session. And everyone, please make sure to come in offline lab sessions. Okay, thank you everyone. I hope that you all have given the number for attendance. I'm just going to end the session now.